The small group gathered in the remains of an old warehouse, the air thick with tension and determination. Flickering lanterns cast long shadows on cracked walls, painting ghostly shapes around them. Ethan stood beside Olivia, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The older woman, who introduced herself as Mara, addressed the group. Kara's collar isn't just a tool of control. It's a weapon. She uses it to enslave minds, turning people into her puppets. We can't fight her the way we fought before. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then how do we stop her? Mara's eyes gleamed with fierce resolve. By breaking the power behind the collar. We've discovered that the device relies on a signal broadcast from a hidden tower on the edge of the city. Olivia stepped forward, her voice steady. If we destroy that tower, the collars lose their control. A murmur of agreement spread through the group. It was risky, too risky, but it was their best chance. Ethan looked at the faces around him, scarred, tired, but unbroken. I'll lead the team, he said. We have to end this. As plans formed, the night outside grew colder, the silence pressing in like a shroud. But inside, a fire burned bright. Hope, rebellion, and the will to fight. Later, as Ethan and Olivia prepared to leave, Mara pulled Ethan aside. Be careful, she warned. Kara isn't just a woman. She's something else. Something born of science and darkness. She will stop at nothing. Ethan nodded, the weight of those words heavy in his chest. That night, as they moved through the empty streets toward the tower, Ethan's mind replayed the moments with Kara, the silver collar's pulse, the seductive promises, the battle between love and control. Olivia squeezed his hand. We're in this together. He nodded, drawing strength from her touch. Ahead, the tower loomed, a dark silhouette against the sky, a beacon of fear and power. The final battle was coming. And Ethan knew that whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same. The tower loomed ahead, a jagged silhouette cutting into the stormy sky. Lightning flickered, illuminating its cold metal frame like the ribs of some great beast. Ethan's breath came fast, his heart pounding as he and Olivia crept closer with Mara and the others trailing silently behind. This is it, Ethan whispered. We destroy the signal and the collars lose their power. Olivia nodded, her hand tight in his. We have to be careful. Kara will be waiting. As they approached the tower's base, a chilling voice sliced through the air. Well, Ethan, you've come back. Kara stepped from the shadows, her silver collar glowing fiercely. Her eyes burned with a cruel light, beautiful and deadly. You won't stop me, she said, her voice dripping with dark seduction. The collar chooses who it belongs to, and it chose me. Ethan swallowed his fear, stepping forward. It doesn't have to be like this, Kara. You can let go. Kara laughed, a sound like shattered glass. Let go? Never. I'm beyond that now. With the collar, I am power, and soon the whole world will bow. The group moved cautiously, Mara pulling out a small device designed to overload the tower's signal. But Kara was faster, stepping between them and the tower, her presence magnetic and terrifying. Join me, Ethan, she whispered, reaching out. Wear the collar. Feel its power. Together, we could rule. For a moment, Ethan's resolve wavered. The memory of her touch, the pull of the collar, it all threatened to consume him. But then Olivia's voice rang clear, cutting through the storm. Ethan, fight it! We love you! You're stronger than this. Summoning every ounce of will, Ethan shook his head. No, Kara, I choose love. With a cry, Mara activated the device. A pulse of light surged through the tower, and the silver collars began to flicker and dim. Kara screamed, fury and desperation flashing across her face. No, you'll regret this. But the power was breaking. The collars fell silent, their hold slipping away. Kara's glow faded, and for a moment she looked human again, lost, vulnerable. Ethan stepped forward, offering his hand to Olivia. The battle was over, but the night and the scars would never truly fade. As the signal died, the silver collar around Kara's neck sputtered and went dark. She staggered, her eyes wide and filled with a sudden, raw confusion. For the first time, Ethan saw not the powerful seductress, but the broken woman beneath. She looked at him, tears welling. What have I done? Ethan felt a wave of pity and regret. He stepped closer, his heart heavy. Kara, it's over. The collar doesn't control you anymore. You can come back. We can help you. But Kara shook her head, her face a mask of pain. I've done too much, hurt too many people. There's no going back for me. She turned away, her silhouette trembling in the fading mist. Olivia reached for Ethan's hand, squeezing it tightly. "You did it," she whispered. "You saved us all." He met her eyes, the relief and love there stronger than any darkness. "We did it," he said softly. "Together." Around them, survivors emerged from the shadows. Their collars lay lifeless on the ground, eyes wide as they realized the hold on them was gone. Some wept, others laughed, but all of them shared the same expression: freedom. Mara approached, a small smile on her weary face. "You gave us back our lives," she said. "We owe you more than we can repay." Ethan shook his head. "We owe each other. This fight, it wasn't just mine. It was all of ours." Thunder rumbled in the distance, but the sky was clearing, the first hints of dawn painting the horizon in fragile pinks and golds. Olivia leaned against Ethan, her warmth a comfort in the cool morning air. "Now we rebuild," she said, her voice soft but determined. Ethan wrapped his arm around her, drawing strength from her presence. "Yes," he said, his voice firm. "We rebuild, and we make sure nothing like this happens again." Kara stood apart, watching them with a haunted expression. Then she turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind the woman she had been, and maybe one day, the woman she could be again. As the sun rose, its light bathed the ruins, chasing away the last remnants of darkness. For the first time in a long while, hope felt real. Ethan took Olivia's hand and smiled. "It's a new dawn," he whispered, and together, they stepped into the light. The morning sun cast its gentle light over the ruins, painting the city in shades of gold and pink. Smoke still rose from the wreckage of the tower, but the oppressive hum of the collar signal was gone. In its place, there was a fragile hush, a peace that felt almost too delicate to trust. Ethan stood beside Olivia, his fingers laced with hers. Around them, survivors picked through the rubble, helping each other up, sharing food and water, tending wounds both visible and hidden. "You did it," Olivia whispered, her eyes shining with quiet pride. "You gave us back our lives." Ethan shook his head, a tired but genuine smile on his face. "We did it. I couldn't have done it without you, or any of them." Nearby, Mara was organizing the survivors, her voice firm yet kind. She caught Ethan's gaze and gave a small nod. "We'll need to rebuild," she said, "but this time, we'll do it together. No more collars, no more control." Ethan's chest tightened with hope and uncertainty. The memories of Kara's words still lingered, her promises of power, her seductive darkness, but now they felt like the remnants of a nightmare, a shadow fading in the morning light. A shout went up from the edge of the ruined plaza. A small group had found a store of medical supplies. Relief spread through the crowd like a spark in dry grass. For the first time in a long while, laughter echoed among the ruins. Ethan turned to Olivia, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "We're going to make it," he said, voice full of conviction. "We'll build something better, stronger. A world where no one wears a collar again." Olivia leaned into his touch, her eyes brimming with tears. "I believe in you," she whispered. He kissed her gently, the moment a promise of love and healing. As they pulled away, Ethan's gaze drifted to the horizon. The sun was rising higher now, bright and warm, and with it came a renewed sense of purpose. "Kara's still out there," Olivia said softly. Ethan nodded, his jaw set. "And we'll be ready. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." With that, he turned to help the others. The city wasn't whole yet, but its people were alive, determined, and at last free. And in that freedom, they found the strength to heal. Days turned into weeks as the survivors worked to rebuild their shattered world. The tower lay in ruins, its steel bones twisted and blackened. But the air was clearer, the oppressive hum of the collar signal gone forever. Ethan helped Mara coordinate teams to clear debris and patch up the battered buildings that still stood. Olivia organized a makeshift clinic, tending to those who had suffered under Kara's control. Slowly, the city began to breathe again. At night, though, the dreams returned, echoes of silver light and Kara's haunting smile. Ethan would wake with sweat on his skin and a tightness in his chest. Sometimes he would see her standing at the edge of the camp, her eyes dark and searching, like a ghost he couldn't banish. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in shades of blood and gold, Ethan found Olivia watching the horizon, her arms wrapped around herself. "You okay?" he asked, joining her side. She nodded, but her eyes were troubled. "I keep thinking about Kara," she said softly. "How she was so certain that the collar was her only way to survive." What if others like her are still out there? What if someone tries to bring the collars back? Ethan exhaled slowly, his gaze fixed on the ruins of the tower. Then we'll fight them, he said. We'll fight anyone who tries to take away our freedom. Olivia turned to him, her eyes shining with quiet determination. We have to be ready. Always. Ethan pulled her close, holding her tight as the wind rustled the broken city. We will be, he promised. As long as we stand together, we can face whatever comes next. As darkness settled, survivors gathered around small fires, sharing stories of the days before the collars, laughter mingling with tears. Hope sparked in every conversation, a fragile flame, but one that refused to die. And in the shadows at the edge of the camp, unseen eyes watched and waited. The memory of silver light lingered, a reminder that power, once unleashed, rarely fades completely. Ethan felt it in his bones. This was only the beginning. The world was healing, but dangers still lurked beyond the ruins. And as he looked at Olivia, at the people he had fought for, he knew he'd face whatever came with them by his side. The night was deep, but the dawn would come again, and together, they would rise. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the survivors' camp, now a patchwork of tarps, salvaged wood, and makeshift gardens. Laughter and hammering mixed with the low hum of conversation as the city began to stitch itself back together. Ethan helped repair a broken wall near the old library, sweat beading on his brow as he worked. Olivia approached, her smile a balm to the weariness in his bones. She carried a bundle of old books, their spines cracked, but their stories intact. Look what I found, she said, holding them out like a gift. Histories, stories, even a few about the old legends. Maybe we can learn from the past this time. Ethan chuckled, accepting the bundle with a nod. Maybe, he agreed. If nothing else, it's a reminder that we're more than just survivors. A sudden shout rang out near the camp's edge, cutting through the morning calm. Ethan and Olivia exchanged a worried glance before sprinting toward the commotion. A group had gathered around a young man, no older than 20, who stumbled into camp clutching a torn piece of metal. His face was pale, eyes wide with terror. Mara pushed through the crowd, her voice calm but firm. Easy, son. What happened? The young man swallowed hard, his voice trembling. I was scavenging in the old industrial zone. I thought it was safe, but then I found this. He held up the metal fragment, a jagged piece of a collar, its silver gleaming even in the morning sun. Ethan's stomach clenched. Where did you find that? The young man pointed shakily back the way he'd come, near the old power plant. But that's not all. I saw people there. They were building something. Machines? Like the ones that made the collars. Olivia's face paled. Are you sure? He nodded. I saw them, and they had a new design, a different shape, but it glowed the same. Mara's face darkened. Then the threat isn't over, she murmured. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his choices settle on his shoulders. We have to go there, he said firmly. We have to see for ourselves. Olivia touched his arm. It could be a trap. He met her gaze, his jaw set. It could be, but we can't let this happen again. We can't let the collars come back. Mara nodded. Then we move tonight. We scout the power plant and see what's really going on. As the camp prepared for the journey, Ethan felt a familiar chill creep down his spine. The sense that the darkness he'd fought was not gone, but waiting, patient and cunning. He looked at Olivia, drawing strength from her steady gaze. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. But the battle wasn't over. It had just begun. Night fell like a shroud as Ethan, Olivia, Mara, and a small team of survivors made their way toward the old power plant. The city's ruins loomed around them, buildings half collapsed and overgrown with vines. Every sound, every creak of metal, every skitter of rats felt amplified in the darkness. Ethan led the way, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. He glanced at Olivia, her eyes focused and unwavering. The memory of the broken collar still burned in his mind, a warning that their battle wasn't truly over. As they approached the power plant, the smell of oil and rust thickened the air. The towering structure loomed like a silent sentinel, its cracked windows staring like empty eyes. Mara crouched beside Ethan. Look there, she whispered, pointing to a faint glow emanating from deep within the plant. Shadows moved inside, shifting and merging in ways that made Ethan's skin crawl. They're rebuilding, he murmured, his voice low. They're trying to bring the collars back. A sudden noise. A clatter of metal sent a jolt of adrenaline through the group. Ethan raised a hand, signaling them to wait. Through a broken window, he saw figures, men and women, working with tools, sparks flying as they welded something large and metallic. "What are they making?" Olivia asked, her breath quick and shallow. Ethan squinted. His blood ran cold as he saw the familiar shape, the glint of silver, the curve of metal. "They're building a new collar," he said, voice tight. "A bigger one, maybe one that can control entire groups at once." Mara's face was grim. "We can't let that happen. We need to stop them, tonight." Ethan nodded, his resolve hardening. "We'll need a plan. We can't rush in blind." Olivia's hand found his. "Whatever happens, we're in this together." He squeezed her hand, drawing strength from her touch. Beyond the broken glass, the shadows worked tirelessly, unaware of the fight about to come. Ethan took a deep breath, his eyes locked on the flickering glow. This time, they'd finish it for good. Ethan crouched behind a stack of rusted barrels, his heart pounding as he surveyed the scene inside the power plant. Sparks flew as workers hunched over machines, assembling parts that glowed with an ominous silver light. The air smelled of oil and burnt metal, a bitter reminder of the horror they had faced once before. Mara motioned the others forward, her eyes hard. "There's too many for a direct assault," she whispered. "We need to disable their power source. Shut them down before they finish that collar." Ethan nodded, his mind racing. "If we hit their generators, it'll cut their lights and maybe fry the machines." Olivia crept beside him, her breath steady. "We'll need a distraction, something to draw them away while you hit the power lines." Ethan met her gaze, love and worry warring in his chest. "You're not going alone." She gave him a small, determined smile. "We started this together, Ethan. We'll finish it together." Reluctantly, he nodded. Mara sketched out a plan in the dirt. Olivia and a small team would sneak around to the east entrance, planting smoke bombs and setting off alarms to draw the workers' attention. Ethan and Mara would slip through the chaos and sabotage the main generator. "Ready?" Mara asked, her eyes fierce in the darkness. Ethan took a deep breath, his hand brushing Olivia's. "Ready." The group split, moving like shadows through the ruins. Ethan's pulse thrummed in his ears as he and Mara crept along the catwalk above the plant's main floor. Below, workers shouted, the glow of welding torches illuminating their frantic efforts to complete the massive collar. Ethan's stomach churned. If they didn't stop them now, the horror would return, worse than before. Suddenly, alarms blared and smoke began to fill the air. Workers scrambled, shouting orders as the lights flickered. Olivia's diversion was working. "Now!" Mara hissed. They dropped down onto the grated floor, rushing to the main generator. Sparks danced in the air as Ethan slammed his crowbar into the control panel. The machine sputtered, then let out a high-pitched whine before dying. The lights flickered, then went out. Darkness swallowed the room, broken only by the frantic glow of torches and the shouts of panicked workers. Olivia appeared beside him, her face smudged with soot, but her eyes bright with triumph. "You did it," she whispered. Ethan pulled her close. "No, we did it." But before relief could settle, a new noise rose, a mechanical whine, deeper and more menacing. In the darkness, a shape emerged, taller, broader, the unmistakable glint of silver metal reflecting the dying torchlight. The final battle had begun. As the last echoes of battle faded into the darkness, a quiet fell over the broken ruins of the power plant. The fires of rebellion had burned hot and fierce, but now only embers remained. Ethan and Olivia stood together, their hands clasped, eyes locked in a silent vow. They had fought through horror and heartbreak, facing the twisted legacy of the silver collar. Together, they'd witnessed the pain it brought, the way it turned friends into enemies, lovers into strangers. And yet, through every moment of darkness, they had held on to hope. Now, as the dust settled and the sun began to rise on a new day, the survivors emerged from the shadows. Their faces were marked by loss, but also by a newfound strength, a resilience that no machine or collar could ever steal away again. Ethan turned to Olivia, his voice firm. "We've stopped the collar, we've broken the chains, but the fight isn't over." Olivia met his gaze with a fierce light in her eyes. "No, it's not. There's a whole world out there still healing. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere out there, others like us are waiting for a sign that the darkness can be beaten." Mara stepped forward, her expression determined. "We'll be that sign. We'll spread the word. No one will wear the collar again. Ethan nodded. Together, we'll make sure this never happens again. The night of the silver collar ends here, but our fight for freedom lives on. As the sun rose higher, casting its first rays over the battered city, a sense of possibility sparked in the hearts of the survivors. They had faced the worst and come through stronger. They had found love in a world of chaos and light in the deepest shadows. This was more than survival. It was a promise to never let darkness win, to stand together no matter what threats might come, and to remember that even in a world of monsters, the human spirit cannot be broken. So, to everyone watching, thank you for joining us on this journey. The story of Ethan, Olivia, and the Night of the Silver Collar may be ending here, but their legacy lives on. Stay tuned, there's always another chapter waiting in the shadows. This is the Zombie Story Zone. Until next time, keep surviving and keep the flame of hope alive.
In the shadows of the night, where the moonlight glows, the zombies looking everywhere, that's how the story goes.